Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Echoes Talk. You forget the past 25 minutes of crap so we can get on with the actual show. I apologise for not having everyone's pretty faces on here, but we are joined with Sam Brigg. Yes, I said his name right this time. It is not Bridge, it is Brigg. Sam Brigg.
Woo! Hello.
Ooh,
Yep.
It took me ages. And we have O'Doomsy on the microphone as well. We also have Captain Benzie, fellow content creator, and another content creator, Crazy Swede. And I just got messaged by Eisenhorn. So hopefully he's not expecting to come in as well because I will lose my fucking mind.
I think Eisen is not really so much into the PvP, PvE thingy. He's
Okay.
the industrial mastermind that
Copy that.
we
Copy
all
that.
love.
Right, so let's get into what we're going to be talking about today. And first off, we're going to be talking about PvP. I had an update I was putting off installing, had a power outage last night that caused it to install anyway. And when I booted this morning, breakage. Yeah, no, I had the same. It's insane right now. Oh, Sam, you see, it is Sam Bridge. Everyone thinks it's Sam Bridge. I'm not the only person.
I go either way. It's fine.
Oh.
I can't stop people from going one or the other, so it doesn't matter.
I'm PvPing my computer. My computer is winning actually at the moment. So we're going to talk about PvP, hostile actions from one or more players to another one or more players. So like just kicking the shit out of each other. That's what we're going to be talking about today. So if we want to start off with the young man Sam Brigg, and you want to start us off with what we're going to be talking about today, sir?
Yeah. So last week was industry, all of the numbers and all of the spreadsheets and such. This week it's all about shooting people. Basically, the other half of the game. Whenever you undock and you find someone sitting there and they lock you up, you get yellow boxed, then red boxed. You're in PvP. In nullsec, undock is consent to PvP. So we are we're trying to look at the ins and outs of how it works, what some of the differences are between EVE Online and EVE Echoes, and some of the more later updates with what we've been getting over the last couple of weeks with what the implications are for PvPers.
Fan-bloody-tastic. And we're going to be going over obviously the scopes of the different styles of PvP, the solo, the small gang, the big fleet, and sovereignty warfare, which doesn't really matter right now, but we should go over it and give you the general idea of what sovereignty is, because it will come in a few months, and I'm sure Sam and Doomsy both together know that if you guys don't know what Sov is when that day comes for the Sov update, then each corp or alliance is screwed, because they won't be able to get their exact space.
We are being followed.
Oh look, there we go. We're being followed and dispatch welcoming drones, even though I haven't got alerts turned on.
So, who here in the live stream has done PvP, and on what scale? I have done small gang, I've done a little bit of big fleet, and I've been involved in sovereignty warfare, but not in the front lines.
Yeah, kind of the same coming from me. I've been mainly involved in small gang stuff, whether that's just incidental, like just roaming around looking for miners, whether that's a case of doing security for haulers and miners, or whether it's roaming around in a gang. Usually in that case I would be in a small logistics frigate like a burst or a scalpel. As for the bigger stuff, not really. My computer couldn't handle it at the time, so no, I don't have much experience on the epic scale. Plenty of shoal fishing, though.
Cool. Benzie, is there any way you can turn up the volume, because a lot of people can't hear you, and I've got you at 200%.
I can certainly see what I can do. Bear with me, I'm just talking loud.
Scream at it.
Yell at me, Captain.
What the fuck? That's just weird. He is using his phone. Benzie is using his phone because he does all of his content creation on his phone, which I do not envy at all. I tried to do that once while I was in the hospital, and everyone saw what happened to my one there. That was terrible. It's definitely a lot better than I am. Mobile Discord is awful for voice. Yeah, it is. You know what? Hype. 100%. If you go into, just wait until Echoes launches. I got into a fleet with the Corp once. One time. Just once. There was not a push to talk among the entire fleet.
Okay, Sov, is that any better?
That for me is perfect. I can hear you perfectly. It's just it seems that like other people, you're not as loud as other people. Hey Ness, what's up? How's it going? Force push to talk on fleets. You can't do that on mobile devices though, and not everyone has a laptop or a PC. You can push, yeah, but while you're in game, I thought that was impossible.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, like you can make a channel to say you can only use push to talk in this channel,
Yeah,
which
but
is a
then
force thing based on the roles.
yeah, but then they
And
won't be able to
people can't
speak, right?
talk.
On your phone when you're in
That's
Echoes.
right. But they don't need to be able to speak. The FC has
It's true.
override. He's got the roles
It's
to
true.
do that, and everyone can listen. That's all. People only need to be able to listen in a fleet, really.
Yeah.
It's not as fun,
Except
and you don't do that if we're on a fun fleet.
Yeah, that's we have my corp at the moment is being set, like our Discord's being set up for the fleet ops, the larger fleet ops, where you have the FC being able to talk, you have the scouts who only the FC will be able to hear, and so like, but the other people in the fleet won't be able to hear the scouts. So you got this weird sort of Kelbeck's doing some magic in the Discord, like so I have no idea what the hell is going on for the most part. But like the way, so the FC will be able to relay information from all of his wings, and the main fleet won't be able to hear what's going on, and then the FC won't have to hear everyone else's stuff going on either. But for like a 10-man fleet where you're flying around with a few friends from the corp, and they haven't got, Hype as well. Hype probably does all the work, and Kelbeck just takes all the credit. Like I'm pretty sure. But like I'm sure.
Like a good hint.
Yeah, this is Kelbeck's here as well. Shit, I thought he wasn't here.
So as for me, I started my career in EVE Online as a solo pirate because why not?
Yep.
And fairly quickly moved on to small gangs, fleets, and eventually took part in some sovereignty warfare. Mainly, I did that as a logistics pilot, either like Guardian roaming gangs or Pantheon carriers, which is what I was into, and will try to do in Echoes as well as my main thing. But I have experience from PvP in basically all of the areas, and as a fleet commander for small gangs and small fleets.
That was very, very cool. I'm just going to go, mine's easy, mine's simple. My PvP experience has always been in groups. It's always been in small gangs at least. I don't like solo PvP. I play MMOs to be social and play with other people, and soloing just doesn't do it for me. And because I'm shit at it. But I'm a Logi pilot. So I pretty much, I've done everything on the Logi side of things. Incursion Logi, I've done PvP Logi from Frigate Logi all the way to Fax, like for Force Auxiliary, which is the largest sub-capital stuff. And doing that sub-capital stuff actually stopped me from doing, not sub-capital, sorry, capitals, super capitals. When I started to do that stuff, it actually put me off from ever doing capital stuff ever again. Like I haven't flown capital since I've flown into Wormholes, and Wormholes has been like, what, 4 years, 5 years? That's pretty much what I've been doing for my PvP experience.
Yeah, and just like you, once I actually got into Logi and focused on that again, I haven't really been doing much solo PvP if I can avoid it. I did some in the beta in the Echoes because I had no choice, because I was often the only one online fighting the Chinese fleets. That was fun.
Yes.
I think it might be worth pausing briefly just for those who are fairly new in the chat to explain that Logi is logistics.
Oh,
is
combat
EVE
logistics.
Online's answer to the it's basically
Priest
the EVE
healer.
Online equivalent of healer.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I apologize.
and combat logistics is what we were talking about. Then you also have logistics in industry, but that's like transport and
hauling.
yeah, okay, hauling. That's the industrial part of it. Yeah, so combat logistics. It's the equivalent of being a priest healer in WoW.
I mean, in reality, there is only one type of logistics in EVE, and the logistics ships are healers. Like, just guess the hauling should be called logistics because in the real world, when you're thinking about hauling for companies, that's the logistical division. So it's our own mistake. The actual game is the logistics is the healers.
But also because NetEase has called it logistics as well.
Oh, have they?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I didn't even notice.
Logistics.
Holy mother of shit hell. Okay, I need to go into the mod chat and have a word with Young Exile about that one, because that's not good. Right, so
I had a very different experience with mine. I did not at all start with PvP. I actually started as a miner. For the
Ooh.
longest time, I rode single work wall with, I had 6 accounts, so I had my work wall, my Orca, and then 4 Hulks. And then later on, I moved into PvP. I started in small gang, but recently I've been doing FCing for larger Soft Wars stuff, and that's you ended up not doing sub-capitals. I'm the opposite. I ended up liking capitals, so I'll run 2 capitals, 2 sub-capitals, and then 2 battleships with a covert ops in the back. That's just me
That
personally.
actually-
I like sitting there.
See, I just don't have the brain capacity to be doing. I can run 6 raw calls, no problem. Just stick them on load of big rocks and go AFK for 4 hours. But like 6, I'm going to be trying to do something in Echoes, which a lot of people don't like multi-boxing, but I'm going to try to go Logi and DPS on 1 account each. I'm not going to do 6 accounts, but I'm definitely going to, because I'm going to need to have a DPS ship for the obviously PvE side of things, but I want to fly Logi. But I can't have 1 account be full Logi and not be able to do PvP by myself for those moments when the corp isn't on or they're not doing anything, etc. You need to have that sort of a type of thing going on there. Don't sub to my YouTube, Kelbeck. No, don't sub to my YouTube. I don't want, no.
Do it. We're closing in on
Unsub.
2,000.
We
Do it.
was so close.
Unsub on YouTube, folks. Unsub. Okay, Doomsy, you hadn't finished your explanation, mate. Sorry, I interrupted you.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I did a covert ops. I've done fleet command for larger operations, upwards of 500 members in the fleets, or fleet architecture and hierarchy. I've done corporation management, trading, or infrastructure, production, mining. But I mean, I've been playing for like 14, 15 years now.
Well, like for me, I couldn't FC. I'm not enough of an arsehole to be an FC, and Fish will tell you that I am an arsehole, but I'm not that kind of arsehole. You know, the one that literally tells you to jump off a bridge.
I tell you what, if people do not like multi-boxing, they're gonna hate my stream because it's gonna be non-stop multi-boxing.
You're gonna get clicks and views just for the unlike dislikes and shit, and you're gonna make loads of money for it, and I'm gonna be really pissed off. Now I'm gonna run 1 account at a time unless I'm playing solo, and then if I'm PvPing, I'll be running 1 account at a time.
Oh, I like where hype is going with this. If you lose too many subs, you have to go Caldari.
No, that's not part of the deal.
I love it.
That's not part of the deal, boys. That is not part of the deal. You can't do that to me. You can't just add this shit in later on. Like, we can't do that.
These are the viewers. You have to satisfy their needs.
I can satisfy their needs with a nude later on in Discord, but I'm never flying Caldari. I'll fly a Mimitar because I made that mistake, but I'm never flying Caldari.
Oh, you're just a missile MB. Admit it.
I ran the entire beta as Caldari and missiles. Like,
we all did really well.
I did do really well, but still.
The thing is, we all did because you gimped your English. Yes, this is a good thing. I know this. You gimped yourself if you didn't run Caldari missiles. We know this because that was the way of the beta. That doesn't mean it's a good thing. It was a move of desperation.
Well, this is where the next part of the thing comes in that we're going to talk about, which is one major point, and it's that ammo will not be in at launch.
Yes.
Woohoo!
I'm really not surprised by that. Even if they have the mechanics loaded for ammo, you know, you really need a very well-established market and economy to support like a manufacturing structure such as ammo. Because if the market falls over for ammo, no one can shoot anymore.
Yeah, it's true.
They would have to seed the market with NPC corporations selling basic ammo types, just like in EVE Online in the beginning. And EVE Online, you can still buy basic ammo from NPCs. It's just really expensive because players make it cheaper and better.
The Englishman abroad makes a good point. Does ammo not being in at launch mean drones are problematic as they are the only weapon type that can be destroyed? There will be changes to drones. Drones will be changed, so don't worry about that. Due to certain contractual obligations. Thank you. Thank you, Apollo, for the sub. I've got a
try and find a way around that.
Yeah.
We'll catch him out. We'll see how many times we can get him to slip up today.
Well, for
Alright.
that one's a big one. That one will never slip up. I can't actually tell you that one, but there will be changes and it won't be so bad. So like, don't worry. If you want to fly drones and you're feeling a little bit down now because you know there isn't ammo, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it for now. Everything will be okay. But the main reason why the ammo isn't in is because they haven't had enough time to do it. I feel really bad for the NetEase team.
Cop-out answer.
Well, they say it's a cop-out answer, but if you've spoken to them the way that like myself and Nina have spoken to them, like they're working today. Like they don't work weekends. They're working tomorrow.
Oh, I don't doubt that the devs currently working on the project are working overtime and really are struggling and haven't got time to do any of this shit. But NetEase have only just finished opening a beta for another space game.
Yes, they are.
It's not like NetEase couldn't put more resources on this game to
Yeah.
make it run out on time.
Which
yeah,
I
this
sorry, which
this
I
is the thing.
which I don't understand mainly because for the main point of the fact is that the amount of pre-registrations. Thank you for the sub, Bolt Slinger. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. So if we look at the amount of pre-registrations there are and the amount of money that they could potentially make from the pre-registrations that are there, because they have released the monetization, and for me the monetization is not a cash grab, not at all a cash grab compared to what they could have done.
It's not even
The-
close to a cash grab.
No, it isn't.
No.
The
And a
only
lot of
the
people are going
only
to pump a lot
thing
into it.
yeah, the only thing about the monetization that made me raise my eyebrows was the COG3.
No, but even with that, see, I'm completely okay with COG3 because there's no feckin' injectors. Day one, they had two choices: injectors and extractors, or the cognitive. Like you had to pick one or the other, and I am happy that I will get an extra 15 SP a minute rather than spending thousands of dollars on day one.
No, and it wasn't that. It was the 2830.
That's common though, because it's the idea that you've got to raise as much money as possible for your game by appealing to the super rich players who have a lot of expendable income without giving them all that much more. Basically,
thank
you've
you,
got
Nina.
a case of some people who have expendable income, or like Sovereign, myself, etc., will be dumping some YouTube revenue, I'm sure, into it. We will dump the $40 required to get all three. The difference is that $30 only gets you 5 skill points per minute. That's nothing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. The right. So with the I agree completely with what you're saying. By the way, Benzi, with the 30 being for that particular demographic, but they a lot of people don't understand is like you'll see the people arguing about they need to pay this, we don't want to pay that much and blah blah blah. Even though it is a game, even though Exile is the most enthusiastic, devoted developer I've ever had the pleasure of speaking to in my existence, because he is, and he's the main reason why you may be able to plex the cognitive. He's the one pushing for that. But there's other things that obviously, look, it's a company. Companies have stakeholders. Stakeholders have certain expectations and they have to make them, otherwise they pull the money out. You'll start losing the developers.
Also, we're looking at this as a comparison point between one mobile game and another,
Yes.
and you get many mobile games at the moment that are get rich quick, die fast,
Yes.
whereas we're trying to go for a get rich long lasting.
Yes.
So, and yet there is an expectation that they will reach similar gains in similar timeframes.
100%.
So, yeah, completely understandable. But at the other time is, you can't look at COG3 or not COG3 and think that person's going to win or not, because they won't. That 5 SP per minute is just not going to give an advantage to someone that's going to allow them to be any more effective realistically. They might get something a little bit quicker, but not much, realistically.
So
that's the ultimate in whale design, that you essentially charge a lot of money for a very
small
thing.
amount,
and those people who want it will pay that big amount, and that ultimately subsidizes. The fact that there are so many people who are going to drop $30 on the COG3 means that subsidizes the money that the people who were only going to drop the $2 on COG1 aren't paying.
Yeah.
Yep.
But we do, so just to clarify for everyone, just a quick, because we found out some information to clarify so alpha can only have cog 1. They are blocked from cog 2 and 3, so you can't have like alpha and then cog 2 and 3, 1, 2 and 3 to have more. It really is kind of pointless to have 3 if you're alpha anyway, but and then there's other ways. I think I'll leave this one to Sam, because Sam actually went extensively over it with Eisenhorn, right? On what the best combo would be.
Yep. So yeah, alpha can't have cog 2 or 3 because they're considered advanced skills, and obviously we know alphas are blocked from that. From there, you've got your Omega 1 basic, Omega 2 standard, and Omega, call it 3 combo. Any one of those you can then give a cog to supplement. The basic idea of cog is that you pay for it once, it's at the beginning of the game, and you don't ever have to look at it again unless you are buying it for a different character or a different situation. You want to get cog at the start of the game, because when you get cog, it's neuroscience incognition or recognition. The skill is you purchase it from the devs, and you are able to train the skill, and it's like 1 skill point per level, so it's practically instant. And the idea is once you've trained it, you don't have to go back and train it again, and you get the skill point bonus per minute from that point in time. So obviously do it at the start, because that's when you're going to get the benefit from it all the way through your career. What else? Cog 1 is 5 skill points total, cog 2 is another 5, cog 3 is another 5, so a total of 15 in total if you get all 3. They are cumulative, which means you buy the first one at $2, you buy the second one at $6, that means you've spent 8. You buy the third one at $30, that means you've spent 38 in total to get cog 3. You can't just buy cog 3 for $50, for 30.
Yeah.
Yes, one-time cost. Then you've got your standard subscriptions, which is your what are we talking? $5, $13, or $15 for the combo.
Yes.
And that is per month, which gives you an absolute maximum of 75 skill points per minute for combo 3, cog 3.
Yep.
It's technically most efficient if you get, I got it on my spreadsheet here somewhere. It's something like combo and cog 2 or something.
Yes.
But realistically, we're talking minor values of money difference. So if you're going to be putting any money into a game, you're going to want to get the pretty much best that you can, which is going to be combo cog 2. That's the most value for money that's realistic.
Yes.
If you're going to go for it, then obviously you're going to get that extra $30 a one-time payment, and most people will on their mains. But yeah, combo 3, cog 2 is the optimum.
It's worth reiterating as well. The earlier you get cog, the more benefit it is, the better it is. So get it day 1 if you can. At least cog 2 day 1 is my advice to anyone.
Oh, and one more thing.
Yeah, but
You can't get this in-game. You have to buy it.
You have to buy it with
It's not
real
something
money.
that you're going to be able to get with in-game.
So far.
But they're fighting for it.
So far, yes.
They're fighting for the plex. They're fighting for the plex.
Let's hope. It would be nice to be able to do that in the future, but from the start, perfectly fine to go that way.
Yeah.
I think it
Yeah,
won't
sure,
matter
but
if you can buy it and then sell it in-game as an item, because that means that someone at some point had to buy it. Then you can go to your whales and say, yep, cool, you can just buy 100 cog 3s or sets of cogs, and that person could throw thousands of dollars into the game, give netties their paycheck, and then be able to use that money to get as much plex as they want.
Yeah,
Which is
Fair
exactly the
That's
same
even
as play.
better.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty good. We should move back to PvP now. We did a quick talk of the monetization. We'll go back to the PvP. We have a question on here from Who Is a Fish. Okay, so what were some key differences for PvP from EO to EE? Would you like to answer that one, please, Doomsy?
Numero uno, which was already said in the chat, descan is not a thing in Eve Echoes, unfortunately. So the people who like to go hunting for the little fish floating all by himself in nullsec, hiding, It's not going to be as easy to find them anymore. Previously, you could just launch a probe and scan a distance, and you would find them, and you could be like, "Oh, there's someone is. I will go eat them." Now it's a little bit more based on you moving past them by happenstance. I don't know.
Yes.
I don't know if Sav can speak to whether or not D-scan will be a thing in the future. I really hope so, because that's how I hunt people.
D-scan is at the moment a no. But
Fucking sad.
that's mainly because of the limitations of not of the iPad, because or the iPad, a tablet could probably be able to do it. An emulator will probably be able to do it, but a really small screen. The combat probes will be there. Probes will be there, but they'll be different. They won't be the same. Like they're sort of trying to figure out a new way of doing it. So it's probably just going to be like you have a set of skills, you press a button, and if you have a certain amount of skills, you'll be able to find that thing. Maybe. That was my guess.
I can't imagine, due to just lack of screen space, that you'll be able to have managed overviews the same as EVE Online, and I feel like that's going to have a major impact on larger
100%.
battles.
Especially
Yeah,
that overview.
My overview is like 10 tabs wide, and I'm on like a 4K monitor, and it takes up like still a quarter of my screen. So for people who are operating on a little 2K quad screen, 4K little phone, even then, like the smaller it is, the harder it is to read. It's going to be pretty hard to have a solid overview set up, and all those tools that exist for the overviews don't exist for EVE Echoes, so you're not going to be able to like share, trade, and transfer overviews the same way as you can Z to S overview on EVE Online.
And overviews is another thing that's a big difference, and because it's so very important in PvP in order to quickly identify targets, prioritize targets. In like Doomsy said, in EVE Online, that's a science unto itself.
For
Anyone
those,
who's played the game.
Yeah, for those of you who don't know what the overview is, the overview basically is a block on the screen. It's a window on the screen that shows you different bits of information of stuff that's on grid with you. On grid is 1,000 kilometers. I'm pretty sure in Echoes it must be the same as EVE Online. I doubt they would change it. But so whatever's on grid with you will come up in your overview, or if you have it set up, it will have like warp 2s, so your main celestial bodies, which are planets and suns and moons and blah blah blah, and you'll have the stations that are in the system will also be on there no matter how far away they are. But what you use the overview for in PvP, you can in EVE Online you can have the transversal. You can see how fast they're going in a certain direction, how fast they're going up, across, straight at you, what the distance they are, what type of ship they are. It explains everything about the ship that you are fighting. But in Echoes, it will be you are fighting at Caracal. Its name is Billy Bob, and it is this far away from you. So you won't have as much information to guide you on the tactic that you need to use. Because in EVE Online, you'll be able to go look at the overview and you will see Caracal. He's moving 1,500 meters per second at transversal, like away, and he's sitting at 30 kilometers away from you. You can know then that he's going to be sniping you. So he's going to be kiting you. You don't want to run straight towards him because he will just blow you out of the sky because he's going to be kiting you away. You want to try and pull him towards you. So like it gives you different tactics. I don't see that happening in the same way in EVE Echoes. What do you guys think about that?
See, I've come to terms with the fact that we won't be able to do that. I just hope we'll be able to filter out, say, our fleet mates from the overview.
Filters will be in.
Yeah.
Filters will be there.
Yeah, because you can do a lot with filters, and yes, we will lack a lot of information existing in EVE Online. But then again, the combat system will be different enough in EVE Echoes that, I mean, it will still matter, but I don't think to the same degree because as far as I recall, the combat systems, at least so far, isn't as in depth.
Yeah, it's also a problem with. Sorry, go on, Benzi, go for it.
I was going to say, I didn't get into any big fleet engagements or anything in Echoes in the beta, but when out doing like a tier 10 anomaly or whatever, if you zoom your grid out far enough, you can still kind of see which direction the ships are moving in. You just don't have it in text format in Echoes. You can still see where ships are going. You can still figure out that one is approaching, that one's coming towards, that one's moving away, that kind of thing. It's just not as black and white. You have
Yeah.
to actually be able to read it, which I kind of like. It speaks to me more as a navigator, but that really could just be me.
It makes fleet dynamics a lot more challenging though, because you
Yes.
can't get decent information. The other thing
Now-
is grids, I believe, are a lot bigger than 1,000 kilometers, because we were able to see people at different vectors around the planet, which
Yeah.
is like hundreds of thousands of kilometers.
Holy shit! I actually remember that. I remember
Yeah.
that now.
Now,
There,
something I'm curious of is, can you still do grid expansion with jet cans in Eve Echoes? Because in Eve Online, if you wanted to be able to see something further away than a
You just
D-scan,
drop a yeah.
yeah, you just drop a can, and you could expand up to 750 kilometers past the grid by creating subgrids and connecting them with your own property.
I
I'm
don't think
curious if
you.
do that.
I don't think you'll need to do that in Echoes because there's no locking range. The range of the grid was a lot larger, which is
Yeah.
probably what caused. Like, 'cause I didn't even remember. It wasn't until Sam said it that I was literally seeing people on the other side of the planet. Like on it. Oh, I don't know. I'm thinking
For
about that.
me,
That's
I
really
think I would
weird now.
just use it as early. I think more than just expanding your grid for targeting, I would use it as early warning.
Yeah.
Yep.
100%.
And we
Which
might
gets on.
find that with anchorable stations, when we start anchoring stations
Oh,
and stuff in
shit.
local areas with each other.
Yeah, that's another good point. There is a point in the chat actually about that someone brought up about logistics, and me being a logistics pilot, there is something in EVE Online which is the logistics bread and butter. It is what you need to master. It's not even a difficult thing to master, but you need to color coordinate it, and that is your history
You are
on
such a
broadcasts.
tease.
Your broadcasting history. So like in EVE Online as a Logi pilot, there's a button that your fleet will have. There's a small bar and they'll click I need shield, and it will come up you'll have it color coordinated blue. It'll come up so and so name need shield. You'll be able to click that, lock them, and give them reps. For example, shield reps. If you're running a shield fleet or if you're running an armor fleet, it'll be the opposite way around. But like this is not in Echoes at all, and I have no idea how I'm going to. I don't know how I'm going to be a really effective Logi pilot in Echoes with the current tools that I have at hand.
yeah, this is
There's a
something
larger
Pushes
one.
us more to like say World of Warcraft or Final Fantasy 14, where raid groups are made up of small parties. You know, you've got a party of 5 players, tank, 3 DPS, and a healer, and that healer watches just the 4 in his party. And if you've got a group of 20, that's 4 groups of 5, and they just watch their party. I suppose you get to a point where if you're getting into a big fleet operation, as a logistics pilot, you just lock your friendly pilots and you watch those bars. You watch to see if the shield or armor goes down, and you just have to know which one to target when.
Oh, that's going to
So-
be a nightmare if you're going to go try to click someone else and your finger's going across the screen and blocking 3 people that are getting ganked on the other side of the thing. It's just going to be...
but there
But
is
it's locked, so they're at the top of your screen, stuff.
Yeah, I
There's
got
also
fat
another
fingers.
thing. When it comes to tanking and when it comes to logistics, Eve Echoes has something that Eve Online doesn't have. Do you remember the group shields and the group armor?
They're completely bullshit and shouldn't even exist in the beta. They were terrible.
But they had a function of allowing logistics pilots to have one person locked up and targeted for heals, because that person was tanking everything with the bubble.
Yeah, I mean
It
that...
also
Sorry, go on.
it also boils down a fleet combat to a number. Do you have an overall damage greater than the enemy? If you do, you win.
Yes.
Or do you have a way to get around their shield by either getting inside it with positioning or some other way
Sending
of
drones.
circumventing? Because
And that's where we go into the meta right now. What I believe will be the meta for Eve Echoes at the beginning.
we missed the watch list. Watch list is not
watch list,
entirely
yeah.
broadcasting. It's
No.
more the ability to have a short list of pilots that you have selected that you can see their health without having to lock them.
Yes. And
Which is not going to be.
that's not a thing, right? Did I
Well, we
miss
haven't
that?
seen it
And
so
also,
far.
No, I don't
Can I
know. I
quickly
don't...
clarify, when
Yeah.
we're talking shields, we mean like the Guardian ships, like the Thrasher Guardian. That's the spheres we're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
100%. So that was like, I don't know, that was I don't know. A watch list would be nice, but I don't know where they'd put it on the screen. I already have not enough space for my shit as it is. Like, I don't know what they'd do.
Again,
The
as
watch
a
list,
logic pilot.
Yeah.
they don't need it. The watch list is based on a fleet that's more than a few players.
Yes.
And they're trying for a fleet that is 10 players or less. So with a fleet of 10 players or less, you can have a logic pilot who can literally lock all of his friends and have them literally all locked all at the same time, watch list done. So, you know, we're talking about mechanics to enable bigger fleets.
Yeah.
True. I think,
and for anyone who says that they couldn't do that in that beta, that's because they didn't have the skills or the ship or the modules set up already.
that is true.
It's just a matter of the fits. That's all. You can do it, even
That's
on a
exactly
Bantam.
what I was saying. That basically you have a logistics pilot working with a much smaller group that he can see all of their details on screen anyway. Tap the one he wants to heal, tap to heal it, and then move on to the next one. It literally is aiming itself at being closer to what we would recognize as an MMO healer.
But the downside is that you don't have that limitation on the other side. The DPS can all very easily pile up on one guy. You can have your fleet of 10 under your commander fleet lock and attack one guy, and he can very quickly and easily broadcast in advance that they're going to attack this guy in 3, 2, 1, lock and attack. And every FC can lock that one guy and attack him. You've got 50 guys all smashing on one thing, and there's this one healer or two healers in that group who's looking at that one guy thinking, oh shit, I can't help him enough, and I can't get my other guy signaled quick enough, he dies.
Yes. 100%.
But I mean, this was a thing in EVE Online as well, where you alpha'd. In larger fleets, you always tried to alpha certain priority targets off the field in the first volley before their logistics could react.
I'm also not sure I agree with that because, okay, you're saying, well, they can coordinate who they're going to attack. Surely you can do the whole thing as well of, right, okay, we're in
We
voice
know they're
chat
going to
with a
attack
big
him.
fleet.
Yeah.
Or this
Well-
guy is taking damage. He needs more support. Again, it comes back to the fact that they are aiming for fleets to ultimately be 10.
I think
That's
it's
exactly
because
where a fleet commander comes in.
It is, but the damage is proactive. The logi is reactive. So damage and proactive can plan something 10 seconds ahead, whereas the logi have to react as soon as it hits because they're going to get all their damage applied all at once, and they may not have the
Gotcha.
ability to react fast enough.
But that's also where the fleet commander needs to know who his own alpha targets will be. He needs to know which ships are the most likely in his fleet to be targeted by the enemy first.
Which is always himself. So like all logis should always, as a rule of thumb in PvP, always when they are on grid, have other logis targeted. Always.
Yeah. Yes. But you need that for the cap chain anyway.
Yeah, but you know, like, so the spider tanking was what I was going to talk about when it comes to the meta. So if you don't know what spider tanking is, or what you call chaining, cap chaining, or anything like that, you get this module which gives capacitor to each other. So it goes in a high slot. It's almost like a repper where you're repping a shield or you're repping armor, but you're actually repping capacitor. And if you have 4 logi pilots and they have more reps than their capacitor can handle, you can offset it and have continuous more reps all the time by sending each other cap. So you will gain more cap than you are spending. So it's
So in the beta, I tried this out again, being the logic pilot, but the modules were hard to come by, the energy transfer ones, and there was only one out of the released ones that actually gave a positive cap chain with the ship bonuses that we had at the time. So I'm hoping that's changed somewhat, so that we can do it with.
I don't think it will have changed. There's another module, a mid slot, which is a group capacitor booster, and basically it emits a pulse in a sphere around your ship, and every other ship in that sphere gets a mediocre amount of cap, but every ship can do it.
Yes.
And every ship in the whole fleet can just boost everyone's. So if you've got 50 people in the fleet and everyone boosts everyone's cap, but don't forget, it'll also boost the enemy if they're close enough, then it will basically have an exponential effect.
Yes.
We
100%.
actually did this in the big fleet battle in the beta. We had ships that didn't need tanks by themselves because they had a bubble ship protecting them.
Mhm.
They were all fitted with the group cap.
Transmitter.
The group cap transmitter, and they hugged the and they only used the small ones, the ones with the smallest circle pulse, and they all hugged the shield ship, and everybody gave capacitor to everybody, and the logic pilots just kept repping the bubble, which was
And
quite effective.
that is effective in what I would call lower level fleet combat.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
you have to be careful against alpha nukes. As a fleet commander, one of the first things you learn is acceptable losses.
Yeah.
And it is perfectly acceptable for me to lose 10 people if I can alpha nuke all 50 of you.
Yeah.
Yep.
100%. There's also the issue. So, right, we'll move on a little bit because we're actually cutting it across the time because of my screw ups at the beginning. So we're going to be going on a little bit longer than before. Because obviously there was a half an hour screw up. But if we want to move on to, we're going to talk about the metas now, right, Sam?
Okay. Yep.
Right. So my belief of what the meta will be for Eve Echoes during the first couple of months, the 6 months, you're going to have, what I saw a lot of people using was the double guardianship fleet. So you'd have 2 guardianships and they would move the bubble. So the bubble, if one bubble broke on one guardianship, the other guardianship will pull up a bubble. And it became 2 long range fights where they were just, whoever did the most DPS, whoever broke the bubble first was the one who won. But then that meta could be broken with a hard counter, because we now 100% know that drones will, you can attack whatever target you want, and you can have a drone bunny. Someone calls a target, or if everyone in the whole like fleet has drones, those drones can go inside the bubble, those bubbles can break it. The other meta is obviously what we were talking about earlier with the spider tanking and the cap chains, which will be big in Echoes if you know how to do it. It's not as much or widely used in EVE Online anymore. It used to be massive. Like we used to be able to structure bash like entire Fortizars with 10 of us, and it would just be 10 Lashaks repping each other, cap chaining each other, because you only had one high slot needed for a weapon. You only had one turret hardpoint, so you could literally do maximum damage whilst repping yourselves and cap chaining yourselves. Like it was ridiculous.
But that's talking about the newer with the newer ships.
But if we can get it to work in a similar way, if you
Well,
can get spider
there is
tanking
the
to work in a
possibility
similar
of
way,
that.
yeah.
It's really hard to talk about meta at the moment because we really don't know what people are going to do with experimentation.
No.
There's so many options and things bouncing around in my head. You know, one of the things I think about is the fact that the group shield modules and the group cap transmitters and such, basically, they don't use cap, they use fuel,
Yep.
PR. So you have to go and get that fuel from the planners, you put it in your ship, and when you run out of it, you run out. A bit like cap boosters in EVE Online.
Yeah.
But that also means that the ships don't cost anything in their longevity to use them until they run out of fuel. So you can have a fleet and go hell's bells and just spam those modules and keep everyone up with their shields and their cap and everything. And that will give, while you guys have fuel. And to be honest, we could carry a lot of fuel. I think I carry fuel in my Phantasm enough for like 8 hours of gameplay for my shield.
Holy crap.
Yeah.
And that's just solid time. So yeah, it's not like it's going to be hard to bring enough fuel to bear to make the system last a long time.
And that's not even counting the fact that with jet canning, you'll be able to have a ship come in and
A logistics ship.
warp into the bubble, jet cam fuel for the bubble ships to pick up and continue going.
Yeah. So I think PvP meta in Echoes is going to be very positional based. It's going to be where are you on the battlefield compared to your opponent? What fits are you going to have compared to your opponent that's going to enable you to be in that position, that range? And how fast are you going to be able to maneuver yourself on the battlefield to get into that optimal position that you're going to need to be in?
What kind of ships do you expect to see a lot of?
Caracals.
Guardians. Lots of Guardians.
Guardians and caracals.
Sorry. Guardian is a class of ship, not
Yes.
a ship itself.
Not the Amar fucking Logi ship.
The love of my
like
life ship.
again, Thrasher Guardian, etc.
It's gonna be there's gonna be a lot of Guardian ships at the beginning, and then they'll nerf the shit out of them. So I'm going a different direction completely. I'm going for the Omen Navy issue. I'm going for the Ashimu. I'm going for the Balgorn. I'm going for the odd ships that don't ever get nerfed, but sometimes get massive buffs.
The reason why I say Guardians is because they have the ability to load DPS. You can get a nominal amount of DPS, and if you have a fleet large enough, that's enough. Every single ship can get insane resists, and they can all put up a group module. You can have every single person in a large fleet put up a group module, or rather one at a time in order, so that one person takes all the DPS, and then the next, and then the next, and then the next. And by the time you have, like as an enemy fleet, you have worked through this entire fleet's buffer tank, they've already lost half their fleet.
It's true. It's just like you can't even argue that.
It takes a lot of coordination, but other than that, you're good to go.
That's gonna be so crap. But that would mean that like long
the last
range
point is
nukes
that
would
you
be
can
king.
also do a Guardian with a destroyer class ship, which means you can be a fast maneuverable high damage ship.
That's why you need Balgorns, and Balgorns will have 80-kilometer nukes. Yes, feckin' please. I'll nuke the shit out of your Guardian ship.
Against one ship.
Yeah, I know. Well, you can have. They've got 6 or 8 high slots on a Balgorn. On a Balgorn.
So there's so many options. There's so many things that we can potentially do, and we will find out when the game begins as to what people start to try and build and do.
We'll find out in the beta.
We found in like Ospreys. They're hell expensive to build. Oh my god, they take resources to make them.
Yes.
And for some reason, like generally with a cruiser and a Logi pilot, you're looking to get a large shield transfer. Well, we couldn't get any of those because they're a large module and they were dropped by battleships, not by cruisers. So we couldn't actually test Logi to their fullest extent as to what they could actually do. Same with the cap transfers. We couldn't really set up a good cap chain because we really didn't have the modules to test them with, basically. So we'll have to find out how effective they will be in the future.
Yeah, so let's move on from the meta, and we'll go to talk about the like the fleets. We'll breakdown of the fleet. So the size is 10. It could be increased. We've gone through the FC actions. We've spoken about broadcasting, locking. We've done the warp. Do you want to quickly go over the warp at range stuff, approaching, aligning for people who don't know about that?
Who, me?
Anyone can take over that. That's fine.
Okay. So warping at range is just saying like, hey, you don't want to land within XYZ distance of this target. So whenever you're warping, you can select to warp at range, and you can warp in at 100 kilometers off target, 50 kilometers off target, whatever, what have you. Aligning is where you're physically pointing. So you can tell your guys like, hey, align on target, do not warp. And what that means is they want everyone who's in the fleet to hit align to target, and it'll turn all of your ships to face the same direction, because you don't start building your warp percentage for your warp engine until you're aligned. So being aligned is a great way for miners to be able to warp out quickly whenever they're getting ganked. They'll just sit aligned while mining, and then if someone warps in, they'll call back their drones and quickly warp out. Whereas if they were not aligned on, say, an Orca, aligning takes time on an Orca. It's pretty fucking slow.
Well, 50
so
seconds.
You try to align an Orca, you're gonna die.
Yeah, an unaligned Orca is a tasty treat. It's a snack.
Oh yeah. And the Orcas who like to get right inside the minefield, and their ships like bumping around trying to align.
Oh my lord! Nom nom nom.
Do not. If you are a miner, I can't say it loud enough. Do not put a large ship in a small minefield, asteroid field. You will get stuck. The mines, the asteroids, have physical presence, model, and mesh in the universe, and they will stop you from actively aligning. You will get stuck and you will die.
As a PvPer, I say please do, because nom 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 nom. But
I love how Doomsy thinks that small asteroids are mines.
I think of them as mines because they're fucking deadly.
Yeah. Well, you said, I think actually one of the ships that was bouncing, there was a guy bouncing. I think he was in Trimark. He got stuck in one of the fields with a retriever bouncing off of the rocks for about 50. I was watching him. And he was stuck in, but he was going further and further into it. I was like, where are you going? But it wasn't him that was moving into it. It was literally, he clipped one of those rocks and he was sucked in like a black hole, man. He was gone.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, once you touch one, your ship is just like, all right, well, I guess we could play pinball for a few hours before we leave, right?
It was insane. Stay away from asteroid fields.
The first week I actually had an asteroid spawn on me. That's great fun. Just get stuck inside an asteroid. I could not warp. I could not target anything. Couldn't do a damn thing. All I could see on my screen was a fucking.
That's like that's when it's time to mine for your life, quite literally.
Yeah. But there's a cheeky.
You couldn't activate it.
Cheeky.
You couldn't lock.
There's a question in chat. Cheeky Breaky actually said, are they going to increase the max orbit range? I don't think they will. I think it was just tested.
30, right?
It was 30, yeah. I think they were just testing the 30-kilometer range. It may be bigger, but if you want my personal opinion, learn to manually pilot. Don't bother with orbiting. Orbiting can be the death of you just because you can fly straight at a target before you go into orbit. So or fly straight away from a target to go into a further orbit.
The other issue with orbiting
though,
is...
Are we getting the ability to set your default orbit?
We had that already.
You had that?
Yeah, we had default orbit.
Not in Echoes.
And default setting,
you could
keep it
have
range.
optimal. You had optimal where you could hit basically just orbit.
Yeah.
Would take you to what your optimal range was.
No, because
online you can actually set a default orbit, which means when you hit orbit, it's at 15, 20, 30, whatever the fuck you've set it to.
You could actually do that in Echoes.
You could do that in Echoes, yeah.
There was a way to do it.
How? I could never find that.
It was in the. You hold it down, a long tap.
So Sertak actually just touched on something that I was going to touch on before we hopped a little bit.
Yeah.
Webifying allied ships to cause them to warp faster is an excellent trick to put in your book, especially for anything that's like just below capitals. If you have a massive ship, it will take upwards of 2 minutes to warp. It'll sit there for 2 minutes doing nothing but charging.
And 2 minutes
your allies
is
can
long.
webify.
It's a long time to hold your poo in.
Time.
Like your bum hole squeaking. Like it's a long time for that to happen.
Also, if you recall, in Echoes, it was almost impossible to get a fleet warp because when the fleet commander assigned the order to warp to a target, everybody got a pop-up.
Yeah, but it didn't always work. It was broken as hell.
I know, but I don't think I had quite a few groups, but I don't think I ever got a single group warp to work, as in where everybody warped exactly at the same time.
But was there a group, like, I never tried it. I never ran anything, so I didn't. Was there an actual warp fleet?
Yeah, there was.
There was. Yeah. You get a pop-up to say, do you agree to be fleet warped?
Yeah. The problem was the fleet commander warped straight away when he sent that command.
And everyone else is like, oh, shall I click it? Shall I not click it? Shall I click it?
Everybody
like
else.
Fucking ready check.
Yeah.
Now that
AFK staring at it.
It was ridiculous.
And the other thing is, warping as a fleet is an awesome thing to do. It's really fun. It's really like an awesome statement to have all the fleet come in at once as in one big blob. That's fantastic to see. We want to have that.
As a content creator, I must say again, it makes for great visuals when you warp, a group of 200 ships at the same time.
Yeah, but then you see the orb of ships get closer and closer together until they're all inside of each other once they land, and it just looks stupid.
That's just them
Unless-
fixing the mechanics of boundaries. They can fix that.
Unless
Just fix
I
that when you
land
live
on
online.
top of, unless I land on top of my bubble, and then it's hilarious.
That's true. I did see that bubbles
That was
will
an
be there.
excellent segue into bubbles.
Yes,
Bubbles,
Moving on
yes.
to bubbles. Bubbles will be the bane of your existence, ladies and gentlemen, when you are autopiloting, offline autopiloting in nullsec. Now, I haven't been told, because they have no PvP in highsec, I don't know if they're going to change the rules and have bubbles in lowsec. Maybe. But
That'll be interesting.
that will be interesting on us because of the way that the modules are activated and they're not launched in Echoes. So it will work exactly the same as your guardianship shield bubble,
So like a heavy,
like a hick.
like a hick, yeah.
Yeah, exactly like a hick.
So
I love how we're just throwing out all of these like EVE Online.
Yes, sorry, hick, heavy interdiction cruiser. It was a ship that could activate a module, which basically created a warp capture bubble. So if you warped to somewhere, it would stop your warp at that ship, or it would keep you from warping if you were inside that bubble. That was a heavy interdictor cruiser, a hick. So sorry about the acronym.
Yeah. So basically,
and a
when
light one,
yeah,
a
like
light interdictor does the same thing, but the bubble he sets up is static, and he can then move around. Now, as you said, that's no longer a thing for EVE Echoes. It's going to be bubble emanating from ship, no matter what ship it is.
yes,
right?
that's the way currently they have it set up. They may have changed that in the past 3 months. I haven't asked them for a long time what it will be, but I think it will be the same because it will be not doable.
Also, any word on the anchorable bubbles?
Anchorable bubbles will not be in at launch. I already asked about that. They said that it didn't make the cut.
It raises a
Which
question.
means, okay.
A couple of questions for me. The first one being, with the module, will you be able to drag bubble? Drag bubble meaning
Yeah,
if you
move
sit.
with it. Yeah.
Oh well, not only
No,
that.
no.
If you sit behind a gate
Yeah.
and you activate a bubble,
Oh
and EVE Online,
no!
that would cause your ships to actually
To
miss
go past the gate
and land in the bubble.
I
meaning
hope that's not a thing.
Yeah, so in order to escape, they would have to turn around. This was the death of many.
That was
Pipe
so
bombing
annoying. I
was
hate. Oh.
a thing.
EVE
So
Online,
drag.
where we find the most creative ways to piss each other off.
Oh God, yes.
Long
So,
live
yeah,
RNK, Rooks and Kings, baby. Long live the Rooks and Kings.
Yes. Thank you.
I can't like that. They probably the Rooks and Kings. If anyone in the chat ever has a chance to look up some PvP videos, look up PvP videos of the Rooks and Kings. The most genius group of people. They were so badass that the core group of Rooks and Kings even went over to Serenity to fuck people over. They went over to the Chinese server to start killing people because the Westerners were too easy to fuck up. So they went to the China because it was like, it was like what?
Wow. Not quite, but yeah.
Yeah, well, it was basically. What's his? Oh, I can't remember his name. It was the
Well, Lord.
Was it Lord?
Was it Lord Malador or was it?
I can't remember who went over to Serenity.
Yeah, he went over and joined up with one of the, because one of the Rooks and Kings, one of the original Rooks and Kings was a Chinese, and he went to Serenity first, and then I think it might have been Lord who followed, and basically he made some interesting videos of the PvP capital ships on the Chinese servers, and oh my Lord, that was just a thing unlike. But yeah, when it comes to bubbles, is how will because we had the mods, the warp stabilizer. What were they called?
The warp stabs.
Warp core stabilizers.
Yeah, the warp stabs. They don't work on bubbles. They don't work on bubbles.
So we have that confirmed. They don't work on bubbles.
Well, nothing works on bubbles. The only thing that works on bubbles is the interceptors, and if they eventually add like the subsystems that allow you to get through bubbles. There's no ship is free from bubbles apart from the interceptors.
Jokes
I
on you, my
guess that
depression
is
works just fine in a bubble.
Yeah.
That is realistically, that is an assumption we have at the moment that we don't think is going to happen again.
It's weird because they actually have interceptor style ships for all of the ships, the same as they have like the E-War versions of different kinds of ships. So you might be able to make a viable PvP fleet fit with the interceptor interdiction bubble nullification. It could be an option.
Well, they do have battle badgers.
Battle badges are gonna be meta.
I mean, it's in the game, so it has to
Dude,
be.
they have battle orcas, they'll have battle rorks, they have battle iterons. Who the heck? Okay, why? Why is those ships a thing? Why do they
Because
have...
no one expects them to work, but they do. I have taken down rattlesnakes with an orca before.
Yeah, but battle orca I understand, but like in Echoes, there's actually battle versions of haulers.
Yeah, they did that because the battle orca fit was like, it was just something that was mocked together by someone who was like, hey, this
dirty.
kind of works. But they took that and they ran with it and made an infrastructure model of the orca, of the freighters, that is designed to have combat capabilities so that they can make a viability for singular solo hauling.
So like when someone pops you at a gate and you just jump out and start firing lasers at them from a hauler and just be like, what?
Yeah. Because in EO, if you got stuck, you were just dead. That was it. You were dead.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Like the amount of times the micro jump driver saved my ass constantly.
Oh, that's true.
Like as soon as someone, oh look, he's got me locked on gate. I'm hitting that. I'm 100 kilometers off, and I've already got that.
You're
line
hammering
ready.
it.
So Infinite Ranger, the
Yeah.
interceptors will be a ship class, not only the frigates. It will be like a ship class.
They
So
have
like
cruiser interceptors and shit in Echoes now.
Yep.
So
Like they had the
interceptor.
blah 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 assault or assault guardian sniper stuff like that. Interceptor is a separate class of ships.
And also they have a lot of different bonuses now as well. These weird abilities. A lot of ships have these weird like activatable abilities, like
Assault
sniper mode, assault mode,
mode.
defense mode, and like all these kind of weird modes.
You sort of had
Recharge.
that in EVE Online as
With
well.
one ship.
The E3 destroyers.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
it's basically they've basically taken that system and applied it to a lot of other ships. Seeing what kind of things have come out of that is that's the big unknown for me in order to be able to determine what the meta will actually be, because
Yes, Cheeky.
again there are so many unknowns.
Cheeky, there
Last
will be player
thing-
stations. Sorry, go on, mate.
Last thing on my list is income from PvP.
Yes.
Right, so let me just jump in for 1 second. And you can all shoot me down and explain. You will not make any money from PvP for the first month at least. It is pointless. Rat and do missions. Don't even bother PvPing. No one has any money. No one has anything to fit anything with. PvP to make money doesn't exist for at least a month. Okay, go on.
My kill board needs green, so screw your income. I'll get that some other way. My kill board needs green.
I
Like I said,
wonder
depends on what
where
you
the
measure as
blueprints
income.
for the warships are going to come from, because that's where I'm going to PvP.
The ore ships, yeah, no, they'll come from. So, from what I know, they come from the same station that they are in EO.
Which is Cloud Ring
Yes, no, yes,
in Nullsec.
yes. This kind, yeah, well, yeah, it's in the ore stations in Nullsec, the NPC space. That's where they will be. It's the same as they were in the beta as well.
Is that the only place?
Blueprints?
Outer ring, sorry. Yeah, but that's the like you can camp that. There are still people that camp that area in EO like 15 years after they added it. Like they still have there's still people that monetize that shit.
I was gonna say this. We're talking EVE. EVE Echoes or EVE Online doesn't matter. If there's a place that has a unique resource, that place will become one of the most valuable places to control in the game, period.
But the cost was actually okay, so you might want to fly there straight away as soon as you can and within the first week and buy as many retriever blueprints as you can.
It's not even just like places like that; those that are worth camping. And when I went back onto EVE Online after the Echoes beta closed, I went out to places like Old Man Star and the Eve Gate, and whatever that bloody city in space is that's got all the statues.
Yeah.
Every single one of those had people camping.
Yeah, because people want to go like it's like tourists. It's like when you get the thieving little bastards at tourist spots that run around and steal your bag.
And do we know if those are going to be added? Because Evegate wasn't in Echoes, neither was Old Man Star. You know, there was a lot of things like that missing.
I think the Evegate was. I think that's being edited or like designed differently. I think they're going to do something with that because there's no way that can't
like
be
the
in
loading
there.
screen of the app itself.
Yes, exactly. That weird gate thing. I'm still trying to figure out what that is, but yeah, there's something going on in that system. With the same that there's something going on in the drone regions because that's not just going to disappear. Something's going on there. I don't know what was going on there.
You have to keep in mind as well that when EVE Online launched, a lot of these regions were not accessible. They did not exist. They opened up as the game progressed.
Yeah.
I would expect to see something similar in EVE Echoes because they have to start fairly concentrated in order to create, because this is a sandbox, so players need to be able to find each other to create this content. So it needs to be smaller to start with.
True.
I don't. Just to cut in for a moment. This is all the time I have, so unfortunately I do have to exit off.
Yeah, no, we have to start cutting it down with myself soon. Thank you for coming, Doomsy. It's been a pleasure as always. Do you want to spam your link for the Discord in the chat?
It was great talking to you again, Doomsy.
Absolutely, thank you.
Sorry for everyone, this kind of went on a lot longer than we wanted to because of the issues at the beginning, but I will redo my entire computer for next week. And I'll have it all done from scratch, and I won't have to worry about any settings or anything.
And make
Do you mind
sure
if I toss?
Go for it.
Do you mind if I toss the Twitch as well?
Spam it. Opforce Gaming has their Twitch channel as well, which they will be doing a lot of stuff during the EVE Echoes beta. So if there's something that you can't play at certain times of the day, but you can sneak the video, the phone underneath one hand while the missus is watching daily soaps and you can see someone playing, to check them out though. He doesn't sleep, so he'll be playing 24/7.
Oh, I already smashed that follow button for you, man. Already done.
Thank you. All right, I will see you guys next time. I gotta go.
Take it easy, Doomsy. Thank you for coming. Thank you for coming.
Doomsy.
Right, so we'll start to slowly cut this down now because I need to go back to my fatherly life. So we'd like to say goodbye to Crazy Swede. Would you like to put your link in the chat, please?
I can do. Thank you very much. And again, it has been a pleasure. Can I make a recommendation, Sob?
Go for it.
Get something other than Grid Fam.
I'm buying something. I'll buy a system that has been given to me by a friend of mine who does a lot of this type of podcasts, and it's a big channel. So he's told me what he uses, and he said there's different options. So I'll be buying one, so we won't have to worry about all that crap that happened today.
Awesome, fantastic.
Cool.
Thank you so much, everybody, for being here. Thank you for showing up, listening to us, and sticking with us despite the technical issues.
Yes.
So pleasure as always.
Thank you very much.
Sam, Bensi, my boys. I will talk to you all later. Have a great evening, yeah?
Thank you, sweet. Thank you. And Benzi, would you like to do your little cutout and put your link for your YouTube channel?
I would, but I can't get into Twitch chat.
I'll do it.
Zimbabwean into.
I'll do it now for you.
And yeah, fingers crossed I will be streaming at some point soon as well if I can get the fracking stuff working. And that will go onto YouTube as well as all videos, tutorials, tips, tricks, and guides, etc. Oh man, final test! I cannot wait. We've
got a couple of weeks left. Some of us will actually be in some
out.
localization tests.
Oh, ho, ho.
Make sure to follow and like and sub to all of these channels, guys. It's really going to help the community if we can grow together. And Sam, would you like to give your exiting statement for Trimark Heavy Industries, the industrial empire?
The industrial empire that we'll see what eventuates in terms of how soon we get out to nullsec. Yep. We take all of your recruits if you want them. We have no limit on corp size, and you just have to front a small fee and you're in the corp in any shape or form you want. Yeah, that's us.
Fantastic.
All your are belong to us.
Make sure it's also
And yeah, I linked our Discord in
Cool.
chat already.
Sweet as a nut.
We are being followed.
Attention, we are being followed. Thank you for the follow. Thank you for the follow. Right, make sure to unsub from my YouTube because I do not want to fly Minmatar. The more unsubs, I'll give you a free subscription on the Twitch for you to use all of the nice little emotes that we have on here. Angry Sov.
That's bullshit.
Angry, so look at this lovely
Don't
emote here.
listen to
Look, unsub from my YouTube, ladies and gentlemen. Unsub from my
Sub to
YouTube.
YouTube. 400 subs to go, and he's forced to be Minmatar forever.
I think I actually only have like 31 subs left. Before
Okay,
I fly
I'm gonna go.
Minmatar.
Catch you guys later.
Don't sub. Nobody sub to my YouTube. Nobody's actually follow the Twitch
I'm
though.
Good chatting.
Take
Catch you
it
later
easy.
for the next one.
Thanks everyone for coming. Fly safe. Avoid local chat scams, and I'll see you in the next one. Oh Jesus! The press door. Thank you for the sub right at the end there, sir. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I'm not making Minmatar, guys. I'm not making Minmatars. Thank you all for watching. Fly safe. Avoid local chat scams, and I'll see you next week.